Jana Braj Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari.
Take some deep. They're in the garage. In the garage. To find them. They're in the garage. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna. So wonderful to see all of you. Wishing all of you a very, very happy Kartik. Every time Kartik comes, it's not just the fact that the month is so special, but it also seems like the weather starts to celebrate. The breeze starts to blow in, and just everything feels so fresh and getting ready for all of the wonderful festivals that are coming up. So we're so happy all of you could join us today for our Sunday program. Today we will speak about the glories of Kartik and some ideas on how we can celebrate this month of Kartik at our homes every day. Before we get started, I'd like to seek blessings from our teachers, acharyas, and all of you before we start speaking. So we will start chanting the Mangala Charan prayers. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam tam stajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchak Patarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyo eva cha Patitanam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I seek blessings from all of you to share some of the glories of Kartik, and I want to thank for this opportunity to speak about Kartik month because whenever we're given this chance to speak here, it is actually an opportunity to learn and read more. And particularly when we do this month, month of Kartik is so special, but we know it comes every year. So at some point, it is very easy to take it for granted. Oh, I know Kartik is coming. We have to just offer a lamp, or we do this, we do that, and then it just kind of becomes routine. But when we're given this opportunity to kind of step back a little bit and read more about this month of Kartik, it helps us appreciate how fortunate we are that Krishna gives us this opportunity to have this one entire month that we can do extra devotional service and get our benefit. A lot of the content in today's class is from various classes by Amarendra Prabhu, Hariparshad Prabhu, and a lot of it also came from a blog that I found online by this devotee called Purushottam Nitai Prabhu, based in India. He writes with the Back to Godhead magazine in India, and he has very nice articles on Kartik from Sanatan Goswami's Hari Bhakti Vilas, and we will be sharing a lot of that today. Before we get started to glorify this month of Kartik, I wanted to take just a few minutes to share this pastime. We all know this pastime of Damodar, but it is always wonderful to repeat the pastime again. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, in Kunti Devi is praying to Krishna, she chants this very beautiful verse. It's 1:831. Gopya daditwai kritagashidama tavat yate dashashu kalilanjana sambhramaksham vaktram niya bhaya bhavanaya stitasya samam vimohayati bhir apyet viveti. Kunti Devi says to Krishna, "My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me." I thought this in a single verse encapsulated what this pastime of Damodar Leela is, right? So, in a very condensed form of Damodar Leela, Krishna goes to Mother Yashoda because he's hungry, and Mother Yashoda decides to feed Krishna. And as Mother Yashoda is feeding Krishna, she notices that the milk which is on the stove is starting to boil. Damodar Leela, this actual pastime, takes place on the day of Diwali. So, because Diwali obviously is not a new festival, it's been celebrated yuga and yuga. So, Mother Yashoda is actually making sweets for the Diwali offering, which is that day. So, when the milk starts to boil, she puts Krishna on the floor and runs to take care of the milk. And as having a child right now, I can see that the minute we decide to put our baby away for 30 seconds and even to like attend the phone, it's as if all the strength of the entire universe comes into their lungs and they start to scream. So that I don't know if Krishna screamed or not, but Krishna was very angry that Mother Yashoda ignored him. And then he resorts to starting to break pots of butter that were there. And instead of eating the butter himself, he starts to feed it to the monkeys. So Mother Yashoda sees this and she's very upset. Like, he broke the pots, he's feeding butter to the monkeys, and she's already heard all these complaints from the gopis before about Krishna. So she decides, okay, that's it. Enough is enough. I'm going to punish you. So she starts chasing him around the courtyard with a stick in her hand. Like, come here, I'm going to catch you. But Krishna is super fast. So Krishna is running really fast and she's running to keep up with him, and she's just not able to keep up with him. And finally, she catches Krishna, and all the gopis have joined now to see this fun that's happening in the courtyard of Nand Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, because Krishna has troubled them so much. So they were excited to see, Krishna is going to get punished now, yay! So they were all like cheering Mother Yashoda, like, go Mother Yashoda, go Mother Yashoda, you can catch Krishna. So finally catches Krishna and she's getting ready to tie. That's not how it happened. I can see I can see Ryan is like, yeah, shaking his head. No, that didn't happen. We don't know. You never know. There might have been a cheering squad right there. So Mother Yashoda finally catches Krishna to take him to tie him to this mortar, which is, it's almost like, you can see it in the deity here. It's the shape of a structure which is used for churning butter. So it's like rope put there, they use it to churn butter, and she tries to tie Krishna to that. And Mother Yashoda notices that, the rope is always short by 2 fingers, like about 2 inches short. And she's not sure why it's short. And all the gopis now start giving ribbons from their hair and, cloth around. And they keep extending this rope, but the rope is always 2 inches short. And then finally, Krishna lets Mother Yashoda tie him. He removes that mystic pastime. Mother Yashoda ties Krishna. And then the story continues further. This pastime of Krishna being tied to the mortar has been described by acharyas as one of the sweetest, if not the most sweetest pastime of Krishna. And there is so much to understand about this pastime. But the most powerful thing that we see in this pastime is that, traditionally you would not expect that God, who is omnipotent, omniscient, the most powerful being on this earth, is allowing his mother to tie him. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami says that Mother Yashoda is more powerful than Brahma and Lord Shiva. because Krishna has given her that unique privilege of letting her punish him. That's a big deal. Supreme Personality of Godhead, who destroyed Hiranyakashipu, who conquered so many demons, is conquered by Mother Yashoda's love. So this pastime is so beautiful because it shows it's actually not a glorification of Krishna as much as it's a glorification of Mother Yashoda. So the month of Kartik, we of course glorify Krishna as Damodar of his mercy, but this month of Kartik is also about glory of Mother Yashoda, that she was such a pure devotee. Her love for Krishna was so unadulterated that Krishna allowed her to just let her bind him. He was not necessarily bound by the ropes, but he was actually bound by love. So this is the significance of this month of Kartik. And as Kunti Devi in her prayer says, like, the description of this pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam is so beautiful. Like how Krishna's eyes started to fill with tears, and he was so afraid of the stick in Mother Yashoda's hands. And this later today we will be chanting the Damodar Ashtakam prayers, and in the prayers it is described like, seeing the whipping stick in Mother's hand, like Krishna started shedding tears, his eyes started filling up. He was so afraid. Again, this is the same Krishna who manifested as half man, half lion incarnation of Nrsingadev. The same Krishna who killed demons like Putana, Trunavatra, who killed Kalia, like, not killed, who drove Kalia away from Yamuna, who took care of so many big people, was still crying when he saw a whipping stick, just a stick in Mother Yashoda's hands, just a stick. That is the potency of this. So today we want to glorify this month of Kartik. So even though this pastime took place in just this one day in this entire month of Kartik, Vaishnavas around the world who practice this faith of Vaishnavism, particularly Gaudiya Vaishnavism, dedicate this entire month to meditate on this form of Krishna and pray that one day we will get to taste what that unadulterated love feels like. This month is also other reason why this month of Kartik is so dear to devotees is because this is actually very dear to Krishna himself. In the Padma Puran, Krishna says, of all plants, the sacred Tulsi is the most dear to me. Of all months, Kartik is the most dear. Of all places of pilgrimage, my beloved Dwaraka is the most dear. And of all days, Ekadashi is the most dear. So Krishna himself is telling that this month of Kartik is the most dear to me. And acharyas have also said another reason why this month of Kartik is very dear to Krishna is because this month represents Srimati Radharani. This is Srimati Radharani's month. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, of months I am Margashish, which is the month that actually follows Kartik, which is so that is November, December time typically. And it is said that the month of Kartik always comes before Margashish, so Srimati Radharani comes before Krishna. Today we say Radha Krishna, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Radha Kunj Bihari. We always say Srimati Radharani's name before, so Srimati Radharani always precedes Krishna. So her month precedes Krishna's month, which is the month after this. If from southern India, some places in South India celebrate Kartik starts actually later. So they celebrate half of Kartik in this month and they celebrate the other half of Kartik in the next month. I like that, being South Indian and also being a Gaudiya Vaishnava, we get to celebrate Kartik for 2 months, which is wonderful. So get more the mercy somehow or the other. It's also said in the Skanda Puran that as Satya Yuga is the best of the yugas and Vedas are the best of the scriptures, Ganga is the best of the rivers and Kartik is the best month and the most dear to Krishna. So our Shastras have given a lot of stress on this month of Kartik. In our own acharyas, in our own parampara, Srila Sanatana Goswami glorifies the month of Kartik extensively in Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas. Extensively. There are like chapters and chapters dedicated to the importance of this month of Kartik. Specifically, Srila Sanatana Goswami talks about 5 activities that one should perform during this month of Kartik. Srila Sanatana Goswami says in Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas, Hari Jagaranam Prata Snanam Tulsi Sevanam Udyapanam Deepadanam Vratanya Etani Kartike. So there are 5 activities Rupa Goswami describes, Srila Sanatana Goswami describes. We'll go in order of the first 3 and the last 2 we're going to switch. But this is from the verse. So first line is Hari Jagaranam. Has anyone heard of the word Jagran? If you're from India, what does Jagran mean, Mataji? Stay awake in the night and glorify the Lord. Exactly. So Jagran, very common in India, they do for various deities is basically stay awake all night glorifying Hari. And in India, they do Jagran for various other deities as well, right? So it is, sorry. So this is one of the methods that Srila Sanatana Goswami recommends is something we should do in Kartik, is we should keep an all-night vigil glorifying Krishna. How is this practical though, right? For us, practically, what does this mean? Because we cannot stay awake all night. As much as we would want to, we still have to take our rest, our body, and things like that. So practically, the way we can do it is in a few ways. One is we should engage our entire day in Krishna consciousness as much as we can. Because when we engage our entire day in Krishna consciousness, when we sleep, even though we're sleeping, somehow or the other, we tend to think about Krishna in our sleep. Whether that's good or bad, I will leave it up to you all to decide. Like, I will give a very good example. Yesterday, we had this big Sankirtan event, and all day we were just out there distributing books, getting people to offer lamps. And by the time I went to bed, which was really late, I woke up an hour later because I dreamed or I had a thought or what, I don't know, that we left some books at the facility. So it was such a vivid dream that we left the box of Bhagavad Gita's right there. And I started, in my head, I was like thinking, oh, we left Gita's there. What are we going to do? This and that. And I woke up kind of like, oh, we just left a box of books. And then I was like, was I dreaming or did we really leave books there? And then today when we were unloading the car, I'm like, oh, we didn't leave the books there. I was just dreaming. So it was a very silly dream to some degree, but your consciousness, you're still thinking about like the service that you're doing. Why? Because all day you were engaged in that. All day you're actively engaged in Krishna consciousness. That is why our title is Krishna consciousness. So this is a month for us to be more Krishna conscious. Is during the day, let's engage more in Krishna's activities. And nighttime, before we go to bed, is we want to minimize or reduce engagement in non-Krishna conscious activities as much as possible during this month of Kartik. So we shouldn't be wasting our nighttime. And by nighttime, I don't mean our sleep time. I mean like the time before we sleep or doing any activities that are not Krishna conscious. We want to reduce that. So our daytime is engaged in meditating on Krishna. Our nighttime is engaged in minimizing distractions. So automatically, when we go to sleep, we do think of Krishna. Many temples in India and even in the States this week, there was a 24-hour kirtan that's happening in New Vrindavan. So many places do all-night 24-hour kirtans for Krishna during the month of Kartik. So if you have an opportunity to stay up all night voluntarily, feeling the ecstasy of the holy name, this is a month to do so, because the benefit we get by staying awake all month chanting the holy name of Krishna is very high here. It's very interesting because after saying that we should keep an all-night vigil for the sake of Lord Hari, Srila Sanatana Goswami goes to Pratasnanam, bathing early in the morning. And our acharyas have described that bathing early in the morning here basically is indicating that to perform devotional service during the Brahma Muhurta. So first is to stay awake all night chanting. Second is to make sure by Brahma, at least if not that, then make sure you're awake by Brahma Muhurta to glorify Krishna and chant his holy name. In Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas itself, Sanatana Goswami says, O Lord Damodar, O Lord who rescues the devotees from sufferings, O Master of the demigods, to please you and Goddess Radha, I shall bathe every morning during the month of Kartik. So specifically talking about taking a bath during the Brahma Muhurta, taking advantage of Brahma Muhurta and chanting. I personally have a very hard time waking up in the morning. Sometimes, most times. Now I don't have much of a choice, but most times it's very hard for me. If I'm given a choice, when I read this verse before, I loved the first one. I'm a Hari Jagran kind of girl. Like I can stay awake 24 hours a night, but you ask me to wake up at 4 in the morning, it's very difficult. And it's difficult to do. So I asked one of my mentors once, like, how do I do this? How do we follow this month of Kartika Pratasnanam? And the advice they gave me was very practical, and I wanted to share with all of you. They said that even if you can't wake up in the morning, the Brahma Muhurta time is like 4 to 5. It's considered the most ideal time to chant the spiritual activities. They said during the month of Kartik, try to wake up 1 hour earlier than the time you normally wake up at. So if you do wake up in time for Brahma Muhurta, you don't necessarily have to wake up 1 hour early or 30 minutes early. They said to try waking up at least 30 minutes to 1 hour earlier than your regular time. And then when you do wake up 30 minutes early, use that 30 minutes of chanting. And gradually, whether it's the same Kartik or next Kartik and subsequent Kartiks, you're able to add 30 minutes. Your body gets used to that. And I thought that was a very practical advice, and it's something that I've tried to do, and it has definitely helped me. Like just trying to do a little bit earlier every time, every Kartik. So eventually, you get to the point where you are actually able to wake up for time for Brahma Muhurta. So that is, and because there is so much auspiciousness here. If you do wake up in the morning and don't know what to do, we have every weekday, we're still doing online chanting on Zoom. So devotees can join our temple Zoom and chant together. And imagine chanting together in the month of Kartik, right? This is a full sale, but this is like a full sale, the best deal you're going to get. So it's a good opportunity to do so. Take full advantage during this month of Kartik. The third thing Srila Sanatana Goswami says here is Tulsi Sevanam, to serve Tulsi Devi. Most of us have Tulsi Devi in our house, and Tulsi Devi is so dear to Krishna. This month, actually, Kartik month ends with Tulsi Shaligrama Viva. So we end the month of Kartik also by glorifying Tulsi Devi extensively, and we glorify Tulsi Devi every day with Tulsi Puja, of course. So Tulsi Devi is very dear to Lord Krishna, and this month is an opportunity for us to serve her extra. How does Tulsi Devi like to be served? It's our responsibility to take care of her, of course, but Tulsi Devi likes to be served when she is engaged in service of Krishna. So this is a really nice time to chant in front of Tulsi Devi, to offer Tulsi Devi as part of when you offer food, to offer Tulsi Devi to Shri Krishna, to Damodar. Tulsi Devi is so happy when you engage her in Krishna service. And for us, the benefit of serving Tulsi Devi in the month of Kartik is immense. The fifth thing Sanatana Goswami says is Deepadana, which is offering a lamp. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami says, in the company of the Vaishnava, one should regularly serve the words glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Day and night, a lamp of ghee or sesame oil should be used to worship the Lord. So Srila Sanatana Goswami is telling that one of the best ways that we can celebrate this month of Kartik is by offering a ghee lamp to the Lord every day. Ideally, if you can do twice a day, daytime and nighttime, even better, but at least once a day. Srila Prabhupada encouraged us to do at least once a day. We should offer a lamp during this month of Kartik. It is so small, actually. It's such a small, quick thing to do to offer a lamp, but the amount of benefit we get by offering a lamp during the month of Kartik is immense. In other Shastras like Padma Puran and Narada Puran, also glories of offering a lamp is given. In Padma Puran, it is said that one who offers a steady ghee lamp to Lord Hari during the month of Kartik enjoys pastimes in Lord Hari's splendid spiritual world. How simple, right? To enjoy pastimes in Krishna's spiritual world is just by offering a lamp in the month of Kartik. In Narada Puran, a conversation between Sri Mohini Devi and Sri Rukman Gada just said, of all gifts, the gift of a ghee lamp during the month of Kartik is the best. No gift is equal. So this instruction from Narada Puran is significant because it is not just about us offering the lamp. It is wonderful during this month of Kartik if we encourage someone else to offer a lamp. Offering a lamp again is very simple at home. You can always take a ghee wick. If you don't have ghee wicks, you can purchase them at any Indian store and just offer a lamp every day by chanting a prayer. We will be singing the Damodarashtakam prayers later today. But even if you don't know Damodarashtakam prayers, just chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and offering a ghee lamp every day during this month of Kartik has great result. It's also said that whether you offer it at home or at the temple, Krishna gives a lot of mercy, a lot of blessings during this month. When you think about this, actually, like it's again re-emphasizes this point on how merciful Krishna is, right? And this theme comes back again and again that it is so easy to please God, and yet it is so difficult for us to do so. It is so easy to please God because Krishna is always asking for something so simple. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Krishna says, please offer to me, fruit, a flower, leaf, or water with love and devotion. Krishna doesn't say offer to me, X number of items with this, I want this sabzi, nothing like that. Krishna is asking for something so simple. Similarly, in the month of Kartik, Krishna could have asked us as the basic thing, right? Like Srila Sanatana Goswami is telling us everything that we should do, but actually what Krishna is asking us to do is very basic. Just offer me a lamp, that's it. That is the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna looks at our intention. Krishna looks at our intention that, these poor people in this material world, they're suffering so much. There's so much pressure that they have to do. If I ask them to do these 40, 50 things every day, they will say, I don't want, Krishna, better I don't come to you, better I do something else. It's too stressful to serve you. I can't deal with this. Like, can you imagine if Krishna actually said in Patra Pushpam Phalam Thoyam, offer to me 56 items every day? Can you just imagine how stressful that would be? Like, and Mataji is laughing. I don't know if it's good or bad, Mataji, but 56, imagine. But Krishna didn't say that. Imagine if Krishna said in the month of Kartik that every hour I need you to offer to me a ghee lamp. Or Krishna said, not forget a ghee lamp, that the ghee lamp should be off, it should not be ghee, it should be a ghee lamp offered in a gold pot and this and that. No, nothing. He's just saying, offer to me a little fire with ghee. It is so simple. So this shows the power of mercy of Krishna. Like Krishna only cares about love. And that's why this whole month of Kartik is very special. Krishna is like, it's like this, I use this word very often when I talk about Kartik, like the spiritual sale here. Krishna is just giving his love away. Here, take it. Here's my love. Take it. Just take it and run with it and share it with others. All I'm asking in return is one ghee lamp, and that's it. That to me personally is so wonderful. That Krishna is just giving his love away. And so it's our responsibility to capture this love and share it with others too. So it's about us offering a lamp and encouraging others to offer a lamp as well. So this is a very simple way to please Krishna. The fifth thing, which Srila Sanatana Goswami talks about, is Udyapanam, which means properly concluding the vow. So before we get into properly concluding the vow, let's talk about vows. So during Kartik, something a lot of devotees do is they take a vow, and this vow, this vrata, is called Urja Vrata. These vows are very special, very potent. A lot of devotees take them during the month of Kartik because, again, you get a lot of spiritual benefit, right? And the purpose of taking these vows is to figure out how a vow can get us closer to Krishna. So whenever we take a vow, the question should be, is this vow getting me closer to Krishna or not? And I think that's an important thing to think about whenever we start to take vows like this. When I was a child, when any vow for that matter, we always should question, like, how is this helping my Krishna consciousness? When I was a child, we went to Jagannath Puri, and in Jagannath Puri, they, if you've been to Jagannath Puri, there are a lot of pandas there in Puri, and they talk to you and they engage with you in a very interesting fashion. So one of them pulled us aside. I was really young. I must have been like 12 or 13. They pulled us aside and he said, if you want so and so thing to happen, you should give up a fruit. Then you'll get all these blessings and stuff like that. And it was like so fast. And what fruit will you give up? And I said kiwi. And I said kiwi because I don't like kiwi fruit and I'm allergic to kiwi. So for me, I was like, okay, I'll give up kiwi. Woohoo! Now I have a Krishna conscious reason to do so, right? Plus a vrata I took that I won't eat kiwi, but I really cannot eat kiwi. It's not good for me. So those are examples of bad urja vratas because that's actually not bringing you closer to Krishna by any means, right? You're doing it for your own self-satisfaction. So an urja vrata really has to be on why are you doing this for Krishna? And so we need to think about that when we take vows during Kartik. If you have not taken a vow during Kartik yet, it's not too late because Kartik is a whole month. And again, as I said, you can choose to do Kartik for 45 days if you want to take care of every calendar. But it's never too late to take a vrata during Kartik because a vow taken during Kartik and followed is the power of it is sublime. Urja vrata has two significant qualities to it. One is that it can be kept private. Like sometimes we take vows that are not private, right? So an example of non-private vows we take are when we get initiated. So everybody knows the 5 vows technically that we take in front of a spiritual master, right? No meat eating, no intoxication of fish, no gambling, no illicit sex, plus chanting 16 rounds of japa minimum. These are public vows. The reason you take these vows is because you're accountable to everyone, not just your spiritual master. That is why vows are taken publicly, so everybody hears you. Similar vows that are made in public are marriage vows, like the samskara of vivaha is supposed to be done in public so that you're accountable to everyone. But Urja Vrata, particularly the vows taken during Kartik, do not have to be declared publicly. They can be private between you and Krishna. And that is also very sweet because who are you accountable then to? To Krishna and Krishna only. So when you are not able to follow through that vow, it is a conversation between you and Krishna. So that makes it very special. The second thing about these vows is that the way to get the full benefit of this vow is to properly conclude the vow in the right frame. And a way to conclude the vow is on the last day of Kartik, is to express gratitude to Krishna for allowing us to do this vrata. And then if after that you can get back to your regularly scheduled programming if you'd like to do so. It is said in Hari Bhakti Vilas that if you have given up any food for this month of 30 days, something particularly that you like, and after Kartik you're going to resume eating, honoring that prasadam again, then you should offer that to devotees first as a form of breaking the vow, and then start taking that again. That actually concludes the vow properly. So it puts the whole thing to circle. So these are the 5 things Srila Sanatana Goswami describes in Hari Bhakti Vilas as important things that we can do during Kartik. First is Hari Jagran, to stay awake all night chanting Krishna's name. Second is Pratasthanam, bathing early in the morning, doing worship during Brahma Muhurta. Third is Tulsi Sevanam, serving Srimati Tulsi Maharani. Fourth is Deepadanam, offering a lamp. And 5 is Udyapanam, properly concluding the vow. I wanted to give some examples of vows that you can take at home if you haven't taken, or vows that other devotees do. Doing regular deity worship at home. Sometimes we get caught up in our lifestyle. It's hard to do worship at home, so it's a nice thing to do some deity worship at home. To chant extra rounds. Actually, this whole class today was inspired by something I saw on Facebook. I must fully confess. Facebook has this thing called Facebook Memories. So apparently, 11 years ago, because I cannot remember, I attended a Japa retreat during Kartik, and I had put the quote that I heard in that class on Facebook. And as part of Facebook Memories, it showed up yesterday, and I was like, wow, this felt like the right thing. So this is something His Holiness Bhakti Bhagat Maharaj said, is that the best vow you can take during Kartik is charity. Charity to yourself by hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord. Much, much more. So that's like the best vow you can take during Kartik, is to chant extra rounds, hear more, read more, anything to help us improve. So the best charity, one of the best charities you can do during Kartik is charity to yourself by reading, hearing, and chanting more. It's a wonderful time to recite prayers of our acharyas and prayers of great souls of Srimad Bhagavatam, like Kunti Stuti, Bhishma Stuti, so many wonderful prayers of our Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas like Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so many beautiful prayers that we can recite. This vow is very common, which we should be doing every day, but for some people is becomes a big thing, is honoring only prasadam. Sometimes, on a practical note, sometimes it may not be possible to honor prasadam all the time, particularly if you're working or you're in a position where you don't have access to prasadam immediately. During Kartik, that's a nice vow to take, to honor only prasadam. Giving up something you really like to eat, not kiwi fruit, but something that you like to eat. It's a nice thing to give up during this month of Kartik. Cutting, and this other one is something that's been coming up in devotee circles now recently, is to cutting back how much time is spent on social media. I have many devotee friends who for the entire month of Kartik are not on Facebook, they're not on WhatsApp, they are not on Instagram. They just basically cut back any distractions that they have. And again, as I said earlier, purpose of this vow is, excuse me, purpose of these vows is to bring us closer to Krishna. So we want to cut back distractions in our life. And so obviously social media is a big distraction. So if it is distracting you from serving Krishna, it's a good thing to cut it off during this month. Giving charity, and specifically charity towards brahmanas and to temples for spiritual causes during the month of Kartik is very auspicious. You get a lot more sukriti, a lot more pious benefit of doing charity during this month of Kartik. Another thing that can be done during the month of Kartik is to distribute books, is to share with other people about the glories of Kartik and of Krishna, because Krishna is very pleased when you talk about him to other people, particularly during this month of Kartik. And finally, this is a great month to serve devotees. It is a great month to glorify and serve devotees. One year, Kartik, one of my friends took an exceptional vow, and she took a vow that for 30 days she was going to call somebody and appreciate them. And she just took time, and in fact she said that by the time, and she thought in the beginning she was not even going to have like genuinely who she felt had a deep impact in her life. And she shared that after she made a list, and she saw that the list was like over like 200 people that she had to express gratitude to. So she did it even after Kartik. Like she would just call people and tell them what influence they had in her life. And she actually shared that she felt with every call there was a elevation of Krishna consciousness happening. So it's something really nice to do, is to think about how can you glorify people, devotees, during this month of Kartik, because devotees do so much for us in a Krishna consciousness, and everyone prays for us to become a devotee. So it's so important for us to glorify them. Um, so this is just some ways that we can take vows during this month of Kartik that can help us go closer to Krishna. Some things that we can do to bind us more to Krishna. Because if we follow these little steps, we are able to appreciate the love Mother Yashoda had for Krishna, and Krishna is going to observe this. Krishna is going to see this, right? And we are able to also bind Krishna with our love if we follow in the footsteps of Srila Sanatana Goswami and other acharyas. So to conclude the class, before we wrap up here, I wanted to take the spirit of glorifying devotees. I wanted to glorify Srila Narottam Das Thakur, whose disappearance day we celebrate tomorrow. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a lot of the bhajans that he has written, particularly his book called Pratna, are bhajans that we sing on a fairly regular basis. So I wanted to take an opportunity to glorify Srila Narottam Das Thakur. There are beautiful books written on Narottam Das Thakur. Notably, there is one written by Sitala Devi Dasi, which highly recommend devotees to read because Narottam Das Thakur is very, his story is so potent, and to condense it in about 10 minutes is doing a lot of injustice, but we're going to attempt to do it today. So the book Prema Vilas, it is described that once Mahaprabhu was passing through a place called Kanair Natashala, and as he began dancing in ecstasy when he was passing by this place. And as he was dancing in ecstasy, he started crying, Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. When Nityananda Prabhu asked him, why are you crying? What happened? Why are you crying these names? Mahaprabhu said to him that, when Nityananda Prabhu, there's a secret I want to share with you, is that you don't even understand how much you love Krishna so much. Nityananda Prabhu's love is so special. He said, once when you were in Jagannath Puri, you were shedding tears when you saw the deities, and I captured those tears. And that was your divine love I captured, and I want to keep this love here. I want to keep Mahaprabhu's love here. Mahaprabhu said, Nityananda Prabhu says that this love that you have, you want to keep this pure love for Krishna hidden here in this Padmavati river. And when this devotee called Narottam Das comes, you should give this love to him. Now, it is very important to note that Narottam Das Thakur appeared much after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had departed. So Mahaprabhu predicted the appearance of Narottam Das Thakur and of Narottam Das Thakur coming to Padmavati river and taking a bath there and getting this true love. That is the power of Narottam Das Thakur. So Padmavati Devi, River Padmavati inquired, how will I recognize him? And Mahaprabhu said that you will know Narottam Das because when he enters your waters, you will overflow. That means he's such a powerful devotee. So this area where Mahaprabhu placed this love, which is exclusive for Narottam Das, was given the name of Prematali. So when Narottam Das was 12 years old, he had a dream in which Nityananda Prabhu appears in his dream and tells him, you should go take a bath in Padmavati and the prema is stored for you, you should take it. So the next day he goes to the river, and as soon as he puts his foot in the river starts to overflow. He doesn't even go into the river. He just puts his foot in the river and the river starts to overflow. And then Padmavati Devi gives that prema that she was safeguarding. So Narottam Das Thakur is imbued with not just love of Godhead, he's imbued with the love that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had. This is high class love, right? And because we will remember that we spoke about on Radhashtami last month on how powerful Mahaprabhu's love is. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifests to feel what love Srimati Radharani had for Krishna. That is the love that Mahaprabhu had. The same love Srimati Radharani experienced for Krishna is the reason Mahaprabhu appeared is he wanted to experience that love. And that same love that he experienced is the love that was passed on to Narottam Das Thakur. That is a significance of Narottam Das Thakur. So after the disappearance of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami became the intellectual leader for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So many Gaudiya Vaishnavas took instructions from Srila Jiva Goswami. So we talk about Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami. The next tier of our Gaudiya Vaishnava teachers were Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and Shamananda Pandit. They were the next tier of people who continued distributing the work of Srila Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Jiva Goswami. So So Srila Narottam Das Thakur distributed a lot of books in Bengal, Orissa. He was known for his very sweet kirtans. Another credit of Srila Narottam Das Thakur was he organized one of the first documented kirtan festivals in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. He had organized a big Kirtan festival in Keturi, which still happens today. There's a big festival organized in Keturi. This was also described by Srila Prabhupada as the first Gaur Punima, the first documented Gaur Punima festival. And it was in the sense as he invited, just as the way, Sadhu Sangha and all the festivals would happen, back then itself, Narottam Das Thakur invited all the great acharyas and great leaders to come to Keturi for this Maha Kirtan festival that would take place in the glorification of Mahaprabhu. So when we organize our big festivals, we know that we're taking inspiration from Sri Narottam Das Thakur, who did that, and we're continuing in his footsteps right there. Narottam Das Thakur's prayers that you can see are always written in lamentation because he was imbued with the love of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu's love was that of lamentation, right? That is why when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes darshan of Jagannath, it is considered to be a very powerful thing. So, like, I want to re-stress how powerful Narottam Das Thakur is, because when Mahaprabhu, and Amarendra Prabhu says this in a class so beautifully, I can't do full justice to it, but Chaitanya Jagannath is Krishna feeling separation from Srimati Radharani. That is the love of Jagannath. And Mahaprabhu is Srimati Radharani feeling separation from Krishna. So when they both meet, it is like the spiritual explosion that takes place. And the tears that were in Mahaprabhu's eyes when he was taking darshan of Jagannath, in that explosion, that's the tears. That prema is what Narottam Das Thakur has. So, which is why when you read Narottam Das Thakur's prayers, they're always in the mood of separation. Which is why even till today, whenever an acharya has departed, the prayer that we sing, Jianilo Premadhana, was written by Narottam Das Thakur, because his mood was very much in this intense separation, feeling that he would feel extreme joy when he was around Vaishnavas and feel extreme lamentation when he was away from them. And that mood is what we see in the devotional songs. Srila Prabhupada often sang and quoted songs by Narottam Das Thakur. When you hear Prabhupada's classes, read transcripts of his classes, it is very hard to find classes where Prabhupada has not quoted a bhajan, but Prabhupada very extensively quotes bhajans by Narottam Das Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur very often in his classes, and he quotes them in Srimad Bhagavatam as well, because they were so beautiful. As tomorrow is disappearance day of Narottam Das Thakur, I want to take just a few minutes to talk about his disappearance, because that was also very incredible. And for those who are here joining us for the first time, disappearance is the death anniversary. In the Vaishnava tradition, because the Vaishnavas never actually depart, they're always present before us, even their disappearance or their death is a celebration, because it gives us an opportunity, even though we feel separation, we feel the grief, we feel that they're not here with us today, we also understand that we want to celebrate their contribution to our spiritual life. So even though it's his disappearance, we're glorifying him. So Narottam Das Thakur, when he knew his time was to come, he asked his disciples to take him to the Ganges and pour the water of Ganges on his body using their bare hands, because he wanted, because they were devotees, he wanted that. Even then, he was so particular of getting divorced. He didn't want separation, because if they used a lota or something to pour water, it would not be touched by the hands of devotees. So even though his disciples, he had so much that these are devotees, he wanted the water to be water of Ganges to be touched by the devotees, to be poured on him. That's how much he valued devotee association and being with devotees. So his disciples were told to pour water on their body with their bare hands, and as they were bathing, they saw that his skin started to turn white, and it was just starting to almost dissolve. And as the more and more it was touching the Ganges, the more and more his body was turning into milk, and it was just kind of beginning to merge. When they saw the spiritual master almost like shrinking and just like melting away, they could not bear to see that, right? They just couldn't. But because he gave him such clear instructions, they continued to do so. So they started shedding tears. So as Narottam Das Thakur disappeared, it was tears of just love of his disciples plus the Ganges water. And even today, in Mahaprabhu's, in Narottam Das Thakur's samadhi. It is, I think it is called dood something. The name is slipping my mind, but it is representation of this milk and tears that were just done as like an offering to Ganga Devi after Narottam Das Thakur disappeared. So it is befitting to meditate on Narottam Das Thakur on the last day of Kartik, because we spoke about how Krishna's mercy is so powerful that all Krishna is asking us for is a little thing, is offering a lamp, right? But there is something more merciful than Krishna. What's more merciful than Krishna? Krishna's devotees, yes. Krishna's name is also more merciful than Krishna, but another class we'll talk about Krishna's name. But today we'll talk about Krishna's devotees, yes. Krishna's devotees are even more merciful than Krishna. Srila Narottam Das Thakur's entire life embodied that mercy. Srila Narottam Das Thakur was born actually in a I think the word that was used was the Kayastha family, which was considered to be in the Shudra family, because he was born of that. But obviously, Narottam Das Thakur was such a pure devotee. So there's some, back then in India 500 years ago, some of the caste brahmanas would not want to listen to Sri Narottam Das Thakur because what they considered of his lower birth. But Narottam Das Thakur did not care. When he would see those brahmanas, he would offer obeisances to them. He would glorify them, even though they were misbehaving with him. He would glorify them. He showed them so much of mercy and compassion. And if for us, it is something we can learn from Narottam Das Thakur, that in this month of Kartik, let us show compassion and mercy to everyone we meet. Let us open our hearts for everyone we meet, and let us share glories of Krishna with everyone we meet. Because when we are able to share this mercy that is being given to us, this huge sale that we're getting of this mercy, we're able to experience the joy of this mercy more and more. So with that, that is the Kartik meditation for our first Sunday feast of Kartik, is to meditate on the mercy of Shri Damodar and to meditate on the mercy of his pure devotees like Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Jai Shri Narottam Das Thakur ki, Radha Damodar ki. Hare Krishna. I think we may have a few minutes while the offering is going on. Anyone has any questions or comments? Hi, this way. And before Prabhu asks this question, I didn't get a chance to make the plug earlier, but I did not speak much about Damodar Ashtakam or anything today, also because I highly encourage devotees to re-listen to the class Hariparshad Prabhu gave last year on Damodar Ashtakam. It is on our YouTube channel. It is I heard it again in preparation for this class, and first I was going to actually tell points from his class, and about 10 minutes listening, and I was like, I can't do it, because that class is so beautiful. It's worth re-listening to. So if you have not had a chance to listen to it again, please re-listen to it. He gave it at our temple on Zoom, so it should be on the Round Rock ISKCON YouTube channel. Very beautiful class to get us in the mood for Kartik. Sorry.
I just want to comment. Today morning, I was listening to Gauranga Darshan Prabhu's class on Damodar Ashtakam. So someone was asking, Krishna is here personified, like you mentioned, he performed Narsimha pastime. And seeing the stick on Mother Yashoda's hand, he was crying profusely. So someone asked, he was really acting or he was really crying? Because he knows his constitutional position. And he is, so Gauranga Darshan Prabhu said, he is really crying. Otherwise, there is no point. He really enjoys his pastime. He doesn't, just act like that. He's crying. So that's what I just wanted to say.
Thank you. That's so beautiful.
Any other questions, devotees, or would you like to share any of your thoughts?
Hare Krishna. One more thing I want to mention. I have some exposure to Sri Vaishnava tradition, and there too you see all these devotees, Alvars and Ramanujacharya and all those other Vaishnavas. They have these similar interaction with Lord Krishna as well. So this
that's a beautiful point, Prabhu. Actually, we're glorifying obviously the month of Kartik, but the month that follows Kartik is very auspicious for Sri Vaishnavas, which is the month of Margashirsha, also known as Dhanurmas, which is like similar to how Gaudiya Vaishnavas do Kartik. For Sri Vaishnavas, that is the month where they take austerities, where they wake up in the morning, they chant these beautiful prayers called Tirupave, which was written and sung by Srimati Andal Devi, who is the only female Alvar. And the mood is exactly the same. Like when you read the Tirupave prayers, it's the same glorification of Krishna, and it is the same mood actually. Like, get up, sing the glories of Krishna. Look how mischievous this Krishna is. Like, let us glorify him, and asking everyone to sing. Very true, Prabhu. So much to learn from our acharyas actually, in all of our sampradayas. They're all, they've laid it bare for us to absorb, and it's really in our hands. It's our choice, if you want to follow in their footsteps or not. Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. The questions or comments?
Right.
Okay. Thank you so much. And for those of you who were watching this class on Facebook or YouTube, I apologize. I actually forgot to turn my video on, so I just turned the video on right now. So we've had only audio there. So apologies for that. Hare Krishna.
Explaining the glories of this Kartik month. A lot of points resonated with me. One of the main takeaway points for me was giving charity to yourself, because oftentimes we tend to take it for granted. We take it very lightly. We talk about doing charity for others, giving time for others, but productive time, spiritually productive time, giving to ourselves is very, very important. Giving us time to read Shastras and getting ourselves immersed in the holy name is very, very important during this month of Kartik. Thank you so much, Mataji. Dear devotees, the next part of the program is going to be Aarti.